I believe that the privatization of higher education improves the quality of higher education. When we privatize the colleges in our country, there is a huge brain drain in our country. A lot of students are going to foreign countries for their education, and they are settling there in the Mediterranean and the European countries. The primary reason for that is the lack of quality in the higher education in our country. Secondly, the governmental bureaucratic interests are being imposed over the private public institutions in our country. And you can see many ridiculous laws like the hijab ban in Karnataka or the gender neutrality. Such laws cannot be imposed over the public domain, private domain.
Privatization is always a bitter pill, and it will always be sore in our life. Higher education, moreover that, the education, the quality of the student or the citizen of a nation depends upon what quality of education that individual receives in its high education from the university or from the college. That in turn depends upon the quality of the institution it has been ranked in the world class or not. And in turn it depends upon what sort of facilities, what sort of method of teaching, what sort of skill developmental programs are being given to that particular child for the research programs. That is very important in determining the quality of education. Our country, we all know that India is a developing country. It consists of middle class people and low class people. So privatization, I would like to vanish the term and introduce the term called as financialization of higher education is actually going to happen by introducing the privatization. So I highly oppose that privatization is not going to improve the quality of higher education.
There is minimal or no competence in the private education because the teachers or the instructors get paid anyway at the end of the month. And there is no competition in public sector because the governments have always allotted a particular budget for the public university.
Thank you. The point is clear, please.
I would like to oppose my opponent by saying that education should be based on the talent of the individual and not based on whether he is rich or poor. A child who has been studying from 1 to 10 in the government school, he cannot afford in the higher education system if it is privatized.
Myself being an economics student, I could say that Milton Friedman had put forward a proposal where the government could give a particular amount of money for the families so that they could include their student in a private institution of their choice, and simultaneously the government would be providing funding for the private institutions, and this funding would enable them to compete more in the...
Man, this is India. This is not going to be any other countries. We are talking about India's situation. In the situation, we could see that almost 1 to 8% of the tribals and also the SC/ST individuals are not getting higher education even in this situation. And what about if it is privatized?
The government could support the individual students at the same time and the universities at the same time. Even the last budget have allocated 1.2 lakh crore for the educational purpose, and 20% of that accounts for the public higher education system.
I would like to ask a simple question that our Indian government is dealing with France for a defense deal and spending some sort of $5 million, and why could only our government spending 1.5 crore for this education sector?
I'm going to ask the same question towards you and the audience. Why India is still a developing country? We boast ourselves by saying that our NITs and IIMs, IITs and AIMS and JIPMER are the best in the world. While we look into the QS ranking or Times ranking, the Stanford, the Harvard, the Massachusetts.
I would like to ask that how many farmers are dying in our country? Because of that, even they could pay the debit of 50,000. How could it be they will be able to pay this 50 lakh rupees if they get taken for this education loans instead in the private institutions?
Clear. Done.
No, I think you got me wrong. It was not about loans. It was about providing subsidies for the students and at the same time providing incentives for the institutions. So this will inculcate a habit of competition among the institutions. And as an economics student, believe me, trust me, I can say that whenever it's privatized, the competition becomes essential and new firms will enter the market and they will compete. And if there is only competence, there will be better developments in the scenario.
Economics and history only resist in the papers. According to our country, we could see that we have AIMS, IITs and UPSC exams that are super class educational systems, and that has improved the quality of higher education. So there is no need of privatization more.
When we come to the QS ranking or higher Times education ranking, Indian institutes or top premier institutes comes in 700 or plus ranking, while the top 10 in the world, 6 of them are privatized.
I again opposes and tells that the privatization is only going to bring the two distinct words into our country, that is inequality and discrimination.